kind of transition a little bit, pivot in this interview to exactly the brain and how that works when you're sleeping. That's something that I'm very curious about. I kind of listened to a Joe Rogan podcast just a few weeks ago, and he had someone on that talked about how when you go to sleep, the only part of your brain that stops working is the frontal cortex, and then the rest of your brain is still going, it's still functioning. And I would just love to know a little bit more about that and how the brain works, if you could detail on that.
Yeah, so I think the interview you're talking about is the one with Matthew Walker.
Yes,
that sound right?
That's the one.
Yeah, so Matthew Walker's great. I would highly recommend his book too. It's called Why Sleep, I believe. Just came out, and it's a really good book. Definitely a good, again, intro. It's a little deeper on the sleep side. You know, he's fantastic though. Yeah. So, but at night, this is one of the biggest things that caught me off guard. Again, when I was sort of had that aha moment. But I think the biggest misnomer about sleep is, and if there's one thing that I hope the listeners walk away with today, is that sleep is the brain state is highly active, and it's not something where it's just shut off. And this is not a mistake. So evolution didn't occur by mistake. So that's another thing to think about. So, when you think through evolutionary processes or things that we've evolved to have over hundreds, thousands, or millions of years, they're here right now for a reason, for the most part. And things like that are worth taking note of. So the phenomenon of the brain being highly active at night is something that I don't think should be skirted to the side in the sense of, oh, this is insignificant. I think it's actually highly significant, because the brain is what it's doing, is sort of recuperating for the next bout, right? It's getting ready for the next round, if you will. At Somni, we talk about something which is called the human recycle rate. So about every 16 hours or so is when the brain is sort of been saturated with the amount of information and decisions it can make, and it starts to, I would say, cognitively decline. So, you take anyone across any sort of higher order of cognitive tasks without sort of any sort of external stimulants or drugs or performance enhancers, and you see that after about 16 hours, you see this downward slope on any sort of human performance task. And this is really interesting in the sense of, this is sort of the brain's way of saying, I'm done for now. I need to recoup. And to go back to your question of, what's happening throughout the brain at night, there's at a high level, there's 5 stages of sleep that the brain is cycling through. So it goes from rapid eye movement sleep all the way through stages 1 through 4, non-rapid eye movement sleep. And this cycling through all 5 of these stages happens every 90 minutes. The brain makes a complete cycle. And so this is a very repeatable pattern. This is another very interesting phenomenon where in most people it's about a 90-minute window. So, you have these different measurable states of brain activity occurring every 90 minutes in like almost all humans. That's like a really interesting thing, And so I just think at a high level it's really important to know that the brain is going through these different cycles, and each of the different stages have meaning. So rapid eye movement sleep, which is commonly referred to as dream sleep, is the lightest stage of sleep and something you slip into right away. And then it goes, non-rapid eye movement sleep, stages 1 through 4. And stage 4 is the deepest sleep. So that's that sleep where if you've ever woken up, you kind of feel like you've been hit in the head with a bat, and you're like, why am I like this? That's typically be woken up in the middle of a sleep cycle, and it's not your fault. It's just you're in the middle of a phase where your brain's neurochemistry is totally different than what it is when you're awake. And so that's another really significant point I think I want to make, is that all the literature on sleeping states seem to indicate really, really active brain chemistry. So the chemicals in the brain are very much altered during stages of sleep versus wakefulness. And that's, again, supporting a host of functions the brain's doing for recovery, repair, and restoration, if you will, for the next go at life. So
that is a lot of information.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That is super cool.
I want to go into like those stages. So the rapid eye movement is light sleep. And when you do wake up in that's like just initial sleep, and you won't feel necessarily groggy during that time, or would you?
Yeah. So one of the things we say at Somni is the napping time should be either 20 or 90 minutes. And so hopefully that's kind of starting to clarify a little bit. But the 90 minutes is you allow the brain to get to a full sleep cycle, so you wake up refreshed. You wake up in the lighter stage of sleep, which is the REM stage. And the 20 minutes is you're just dipping into rapid eye movement sleep, and you're getting some of those benefits that rapid eye movement sleep allows, but not too groggy, so you can wake back up. And So we really recommend the 20-minute nap when the rapid eye movement sleep is really connected with a whole host of frontal cortex processes that stand to be improved. So all sorts of things, again, around like creativity and memory formation and learning. Those occur in other stages of sleep too, but there's sort of this free-form association that's going on during rapid eye movement sleep, where ideas are being mixed and mashed together. That's, if you were woken up from a crazy dream, that's sort of what's going on. There's sort of this sort of bending of reality, if you will. And so that's what's happening in REM typically.